Alright everyone, welcome back to another great video of so much of the interesting arcade games. This video is going to be really long as today we are going to discuss 100 OG list of underrated arcade games of all time. We are going to talk about the classics that deserve way more love than they get. From beat-em-ups to racers, shooters, and pure retro fun. This list has it all. So, sit back, relax, and let's jump right into our massive list that you might have missed but definitely need to know about. But before getting started, drop a comment below about a game which you think is underrated and deserves more love. Let's go.
The Great Ragtime Show.
Boogie Wings. So, Boogie Wings is just pure arcade chaos in the best way possible. It's one of those games you stumble upon and instantly wonder how it slipped under everyone's radar. You pilot this wacky biplane that can swing from a grappling hook, grab objects, and even kick tanks mid-air. The mix of steampunk flair, crazy explosions, and over-the-top action just feels electric. What I love most is how the game never takes itself too seriously. It's stylish, fast, and weirdly hilarious. Every level throws something unexpected, making it one of those rare shooters that feels fresh every time you play. Alien vs. Predator. Honestly, this is Capcom's most underrated masterpiece. Alien vs. Predator nailed that gritty sci-fi beat-em-up vibe better than most games from the 90s. You get to play as heavily armed predators or badass human soldiers, ripping through hordes of xenomorphs in these beautifully detailed neon stages. The combat has that perfect punchy weight Capcom was known for, mixed with flashy energy weapons and satisfying combos. It's brutal, fast, and endlessly replayable. The teamwork mechanics and slick controls still hold up even today. I swear, if you ever wanted a mix of arcade mayhem and alien movie energy, this one's top tier. Superman. So the 1988 Superman arcade game might not be everyone's go-to, but man, it's such a nostalgic ride. Taito somehow blended side-scrolling action and flying shooter sections in a way that totally fits the superhero fantasy. The music screams late 80s arcade halls, and that colourful comic book style gives it real charm. There's something super satisfying, pun intended, about smashing enemies mid-air while that Superman theme blasts in the background. It's campy and a bit repetitive, sure, but it feels like a classic Saturday morning cartoon in game form. And that's exactly what makes it worth revisiting now.
Great start! Way to jump off the starting line!
Rave Racer. I still get chills remembering that intro track in Rave Racer. Namco really brought their A game with this one. It's such a criminally overlooked gem. Sleek tracks, realistic lighting for its time, and those smooth drifts made it feel miles ahead of other 90s racers. The sense of speed is insane. It's like the arcade machine itself wanted to launch you forward. What separates it from Ridge Racer is the heavier emphasis on atmosphere. Crowded city nights and glowing tunnels make you feel part of some underground racing scene. It's fast, simple, and wildly entertaining, even today with emulators. Ninja Baseball Batman. Ninja Baseball Batman is seriously one of the craziest and most fun beat-em-ups ever made. The concept alone is wild. Ninja baseball players fighting robots and weird bosses across America. It's colourful, full of personality, and just insanely satisfying. Each character moves differently, has their own goofy charm, and the animations perfectly cartoony. The pace keeps you hooked, punching through chaos with over-the-top attacks that never get old. Hardly anyone talks about it, which blows my mind because it easily rivals classics like Streets of Rage in creativity and fun factor. This one's pure joyful madness. Jurassic Park. Seriously, you can't forget the 1994 Jurassic Park arcade shooter. That motion seat cabinet was legendary. It's a light gun experience that makes you feel trapped in the movie itself, dodging T-Rex attacks while blasting raptors like your life depended on it. The graphics were mind-blowing for '94, and the sound design made every encounter feel alive and terrifying. There was this perfect tension between chaos and control. Miss a few shots and you're dino food. It captured that raw Jurassic Park thrill more than any console version ever did. Sitting in that moving seat still feels like a time machine moment.
Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Spider-Sense ting.
Spider-Man the video game. You know what's really so much underrated? Sega's 1991 Spider-Man arcade game. It perfectly captures that early comic book energy. Bold colours, massive enemies, and quippy Spidey dialogue cut straight from the source. What's genius is how it shifts from side-scrolling beat-em-up to 3D-style action sequences seamlessly. You could team up with heroes like Black Cat and Hawkeye, which made co-op sessions unforgettable. It honestly feels like a comic book exploding into arcade form. Sure, it's tough as nails, but that difficulty only adds to the whole retro charm. Spider-Man's swinging combos and the boss fights were way ahead of their time. Virtua Cop. Guys, Virtua Cop changed everything for light gun shooters. Before that, we were just blasting mindlessly. But this game brought precision. The polygon models might look dated today, but back in 1994, they looked insane. You had to carefully take out targets, avoid civilians, and hit weak points, making it feel like an actual police simulator with arcade flair. The reload mechanic and visual clarity made it addictive. You always wanted that perfect run. It's sleek, tight, and surprisingly cinematic. Sega set the blueprint here for every shooter that followed, from Time Crisis to House of the Dead. Primal Rage. So, Primal Rage is the kind of fighting game that instantly grabs your attention because, come on, it's dinosaurs punching each other. It had that Mortal Kombat style energy, but with prehistoric monsters instead of ninjas. The stop-motion animation was jaw-dropping for its time, making every swing feel nasty and powerful. Yeah, it's a bit clunky today, but it oozes character and 90s attitude. I remember mastering Talon's combos felt like unlocking secret caveman power. It's not the deepest fighter ever made, but man, it's stylish, unique, and hits that perfect arcade nostalgia button like few others can. Guardians. Alright Guardians, also known as Denjin Makai 2, is one of those hidden arcade gems that deserves way more love. Imagine a futuristic beat-em-up packed with over-the-top moves, flashy energy attacks, and some seriously creative character designs. The gameplay feels ridiculously fluid. Chaining air combos and slamming enemies into walls never gets old. The animations are wild for its time, and every level feels handcrafted for chaos. What's awesome is the variety. Each fighter plays completely differently, giving it crazy replay value. If you think beat-em-ups peaked in the early 90s, Guardians will totally change your mind. Captain America and the Avengers. Okay, so this one always takes me back. Captain America and the Avengers is peak early 90s comic energy, cheesy voice lines, bright colours, and ridiculously fun co-op chaos. Playing as Cap, Iron Man, Vision, or Hawkeye just feels right, even if the dialogue sounds hilariously off. The game doesn't overcomplicate anything. It's pure, old-school, beat-em-up fun with a patriotic soundtrack blasting in the background. What makes it shine is that satisfying teamwork dynamic. Tossing enemies across the screen while your buddy fires projectiles feels amazing. It's clunky, but charming. And honestly, that makes it unforgettable in its own messy way. Battletoads Arcade. Now here's one that's criminally slept on. Battletoads Arcade takes the crazy cartoon chaos of the NES classic and cranks it up to 11. This isn't just a goofy side-scroller, it's violent, gritty, and packed with attitude. The animations are insanely smooth for 94, with crunchy hits that feel heavy every time you slam an enemy through the floor. The level design keeps switching things up, speed segments, vehicle chases, and brutal boss fights that test your timing. It's tough, no doubt, but that challenge is part of the fun. It's one of those games that rewards your stubborn side, and man, what a ride! Outlaws of the Lost Dynasty. To be honest, this one is a total hidden treasure. Outlaws of the Lost Dynasty, or Suiko Enbu, is a martial arts fighting game with a deep, methodical rhythm. Instead of the flashiness you see in fighters like Street Fighter, it focuses on weapon combat and timing. Every swing feels grounded and precise. The Chinese folklore influences give it a real sense of identity, from the rich art style to its historical warrior roster. The movement feels heavy but satisfying, demanding smart reads over button mashing. It's that perfect midpoint between strategy and action, and it deserves way more recognition for its slick animations and soul. Biomechanical Toy. Imagine something like Toy Story got mixed with Metal Slug, and that is Biomechanical Toy. This one's such an oddball, but so good. You're basically running through a deadly toy world, blasting mechanical dolls and twisted clockwork enemies. The visuals are colourful yet eerie, giving it a Tim Burton-esque vibe long before that was trendy. The run-and-gun gameplay is pure adrenaline, with responsive shooting and just the right amount of chaos. What makes it stand out is how imaginative every stage is. Living jack-in-the-box bosses, deadly toy factories, and crazy parallax backgrounds. It's short, chaotic, and ridiculously fun. Classic 90s Spanish arcade weirdness at its best. Crossed Swords 2. Crossed Swords 2 is one of those Neo Geo exclusives that feels way ahead of its time. It mixes first-person perspective with sword-fighting mechanics, almost like an early prototype for modern action RPGs. Blocking, parrying and timing attacks mattered more than button mashing, which was rare in arcades. The visuals are charmingly medieval, and the enemy designs feel drawn straight out of a fantasy novel. It's tough, sure, but when you master the rhythm of combat, it feels incredible. Playing it today still feels fresh, like a secret experiment Neo Geo snuck into their lineup for hardcore fans who wanted something different. Manx TT Superbike. Guys, Manx TT Superbike is related to pure speed. Sega nailed that feeling of tearing down those Isle of Man tracks at ridiculous velocity. The arcade cabinet's handlebars gave you that real biking sensation. Leaning into turns, hearing that roar, and just zoning out into the asphalt blur. The graphics were stunning for 95, realistic and smooth even at crazy speeds. It's a simple game, but that's what makes it so addictive. It's all muscle memory and reflex. A few sessions in, and your hands instinctively know every corner. Honestly, this was Sega at its arcade peak. All rush, no fluff, total immersion. Gunblade NY. This one was the ultimate fantasy for anyone who ever wanted to mow down bad guys from a helicopter. This Sega rail shooter is just non-stop energy. You're blasting terrorists through skyscrapers, highways and city chaos from the skies. The mounted gun station at the arcade was unreal back then. The free aim system made you feel like a true action hero, not just some static shooter. Explosions, voice clips and fast camera movement came together perfectly to create pure cinematic adrenaline. It's loud, wild, and a bit ridiculous, but that's exactly why it's fun. Gunblade NY never gives you a second to breathe. Cyberbots. Full Metal Madness is one of those gems fighting game fans always whisper about. You're piloting mechs with customizable parts, battling in explosive 2D arenas, and every fight feels brutally heavy. Capcom nailed the anime mecha vibe, with smooth animations and over-the-top special moves that practically melt the screen. What makes it cool is the mix of story and style. Every character's mech feels personal, with unique systems and attacks. The soundtrack is killer, the visuals are pure eye candy, and the gameplay feels both tactical and chaotic. It's niche, sure, but easily one of Capcom's most stylish arcade experiments. Midnight Resistance. If you're into pure run-and-gun classics, Midnight Resistance is peak gritty 80s arcade action. It's like Contra's tougher cousin. Relentless enemies, explosive weapons, and that patriotic save-the-family plot straight out of an action flick. The rotary joystick control took some getting used to, but once you did, the game became insanely fun. Blast through industrial bases, rescue captives, and upgrade your arsenal. Every stage ups the intensity. The music slaps, the bosses are huge, and the whole thing just screams Saturday night arcade vibes. It's tough as nails, but massively rewarding once you get into that old school groove. Escape from the planet of the robot monsters. This game has that unmistakable late 80s weirdness I absolutely love. Escape from the planet of the robot monsters mixes isometric action, sci-fi pulp art, and campy humour into something totally unique. You play as space agents, storming a robot-controlled planet to rescue humans. Simple setup, but the vibe is pure Saturday matinee energy. The chunky sprites, laser-heavy combat, and funky sound effects make every moment feel alive. It's rough around the edges, sure, but the quirky style and old-school challenge keep it addictive. It feels like if Flash Gordon and Gauntlet had a bizarre techno baby. Chaotic, colourful, and endlessly replayable. Roga Armor Force. Roga Armor Force is basically side-scrolling mech warfare at its most chaotic. Picture Metal Slug, but chunkier and with customizable walking tanks. Each mech feels powerful, stomping through cities, blasting jets, and dodging explosions in fast-paced mayhem. The animations are surprisingly smooth for 91, and every upgrade changes how your machine handles, giving each run a new rhythm. The destruction feels so satisfying. There's just something magical about wiping out enemy units with a giant robotic arm. It's pure, loud arcade fun, with that distinctly early 90s mecha aesthetic. Definitely one of Data East's coolest, most explosive forgotten projects. Ghost Pilots. So, Ghost Pilots might look like another World War II shoot-'em-up, but guys, it's way moodier than people remember. Neo Geos take on the vertical shooter formula. It's all about weighty planes and massive firepower. You can feel the heaviness in every movement. It's not about speed, it's about precision and survival. The bosses are massive, the sound design hits like thunder, and the old-school bullet patterns test your nerves. There's a nostalgic grit to it, like watching an old war movie through 16-bit explosions. It's underrated because it's slower, but that deliberate pacing makes every victory feel earned. Sunset Riders. Konami took the Wild West and turned it into one of the most fun side-scrolling shooters ever. The personality in this game is insane. Colourful characters, hilarious voice lines, bury me with my money, and non-stop action. Every level feels like an arcade western diorama, from train fights to saloons full of chaos. And the co-op gameplay? Still gold. Sliding under bullets, tossing dynamite, shooting bandits. It's pure fluid fun. It's one of those games that perfectly nails both style and spirit without overcomplicating anything. Just clean arcade charm.
Let's clean up.
Tumble Pop. This one is pure arcade joy in bubble form. You vacuum up enemies and blow them back out as bouncing energy orbs. It sounds bizarre, but it's ridiculously addictive. The concept is simple, yet every level feels alive with quirky designs and goofy animations. There's this satisfying rhythm to looping enemies and watching chain reactions wipe out hordes. It reminds me of those carefree afternoons where you just keep popping quarters in, chasing that one more level feeling. It has that bubble type magic, easy to learn, hard to walk away from. It's cheerful, chaotic, and weirdly stress-relieving for a game about ghosts. Zexex. Zexex is one of those Konami shooters that makes you go, why doesn't anyone talk about this? It's stunning. Visually, it's pure art. Vibrant alien worlds, trippy backgrounds, and that smooth parallax scrolling that makes everything pop. The gameplay has this unique twist. Your ship uses a bioweapon called Flint that you can deploy and control separately, opening up all kinds of tactical options. It's fast but graceful, never overwhelming, and every level feels handcrafted. The soundtrack too just oozes atmosphere. It's like Gradius met a surreal dream sequence, wrapped up in early 90s brilliance. Criminally overlooked masterpiece. Undercover Cops. Did you guys ever stumble on a game so gritty it feels like it crawled straight out of a post-apocalyptic movie? That's Undercover Cops. This one's a dirty, steel-punching beat-em-up that just radiates attitude. From the crumbling cityscapes to the chunky, detailed character sprites, it's all atmosphere. The combat hits heavy. Every slam, every kick feels raw and physical. Irem nailed that weighty impact that makes even basic punches satisfying. There's something hypnotic about fighting through wreckage and industrial junk while the soundtrack booms in the background. It's tough, sure, but the grit and chaos make it impossible to put down. Asterix. Guys, I've got such a soft spot for this one. Asterix is pure cartoon adventure magic, bright, bouncy, and full of slapstick energy. Konami managed to take the charm of the comics and actually make it feel alive in motion. Smacking goofy Romans while the backgrounds burst with colour feels timeless. The co-op with Obelix adds so much chaos and laughs, especially when you're chucking enemies into one another like it's no big deal. It's not intense or overcomplicated, just pure, heartwarming fun. Everything from the animations to the humour makes it one of the happiest arcade games you'll ever play. Arabian Fight. There's no forgetting the first time you see Arabian Fight in motion. Sega's scaling effects felt like some kind of arcade sorcery back then. Enemies flying at the screen, characters zooming in and out mid-punch. It felt larger than life, like a playable action movie. The Arabian fantasy backdrop gave it a unique vibe too. Glowing deserts, grand palaces, and that adventurous soundtrack tying it all together. It's a bit floaty in controls, sure, but visually, it's art. For '92, it was pushing tech limits and flexing style like few others. That cinematic flair gives it an energy that still wows decades later. Bucky O'Hare. Every time I boot up Bucky O'Hare, I'm instantly 5 years old again, hyper, wide-eyed and amazed. It's just that kind of game. Konami turned the cartoon into a fast-paced, colourful shooter packed with personality. Each level bursts with explosions, space weirdness, and perfectly balanced chaos. The character variety is huge. Playing as Deadeye or Blinky changes up everything. What makes it shine is how confident it is in being wild. It never slows down. The music pumps hard, the visuals pop, and the action just doesn't quit. It's pure 90s Saturday morning arcade bliss, and it still slaps today. Shadow Force. I know, guys, sometimes you just want something wild, and Shadow Force delivers plenty of that. You're not just brawling on the streets, this one lets you shapeshift into different forms right in the middle of combat. That mechanic alone spices up the beat-em-up formula and leads to some seriously creative fights. Add in a cast of oddball characters, big combos, and a busy, gritty visual style, and it's a total blast. While it doesn't get the same praise as bigger names, the mutant madness and anything goes attitude make it totally unforgettable if you love arcade games that take risks and get weird. Golden Axe, Revenge of Death Adder. So let's be honest, most people talk about the original Golden Axe, but Revenge of Death Adder is the real showstopper. Imagine everything you loved about the classic, then make it bigger, smoother, and way more colourful. They add branching paths and fresh heroes with cool powers, and the amount of detail on the screen feels wild for its day. Nothing's more satisfying than smashing through hordes of enemies on a giant snail steed. Plus, the magic spells light up the whole arcade. It's a fantasy brawler done exactly right, and it still feels like the definitive Golden Axe experience nobody gives enough love.
2, 1, let's go!
R-Type Leo. Every time I hit play on R-Type Leo, it's like discovering a new sci-fi universe. It's the R-Type, you know, but everything's slicker, faster movement, different weapons, and just this shimmering, spacey vibe to all the levels. The bosses look monstrous, and the action stays constantly hectic, but what really gets me is how smooth and almost hypnotic the experience is. Leo drops the usual series Force Pod, but throws in satellites you can aim, which totally changes your strategies. It might not be the most famous entry in the series, but it's easily one of the most fun and replayable. Ninja Commando. If you are craving for something pure arcade mayhem, Ninja Commando is like an explosion of pixel ninjas, wild special moves, and relentless scrolling action. You've got 3 unique heroes dashing through time. Everything from dinosaurs to mad robots tries to stop you. The controls are absolutely buttery, with quick dashes and screen-filling attacks that just never get old. It's fast, satisfying, and honestly, kind of ridiculous, in the best way. The over-the-top anime vibe gives it extra flair. I could sink hours into mastering every boss pattern and unleashing crazy combos. This is the game you brag about beating with only a few credits to spare. The Legend of Valkyrie. You know a game is special when it blends adventure, action and charm, all with pure fantasy style. And The Legend of Valkyrie nails that better than most. Taking control of a fearless heroine, you venture through lush overworlds and mythical landscapes, mixing top-down shooting with secret-finding exploration. The bright, whimsical art style keeps things feeling light, and the stages are full of surprises. There's a lovely sense of growth as you collect power-ups and unravel little mysteries in each level. For anyone who loves that late 80s Namco magic, this is the kind of hidden treasure you remember years later. The combat ribes. Let's talk about some raw arcade action. The combat ribes just throws you into mayhem straight away. You're brawling through New York, taking on roided out punks and bosses, armed with everything from motorcycles to chains. The whole thing's unashamedly over the top, with characters that look like pro wrestlers crossed with comic book heroes. What keeps me coming back is the pure impact of the hits. The controls are tight, and throwing enemies across the screen never gets old. The music slaps, the levels move quick, and there's zero downtime. It's all grit and noise, and if you like your beat-em-ups big and bold, this is a must-play.
Drop dead, you scum!
You won't get away with this.
Growl. Alright, let's be real. Growl isn't just about only saving animals, it's about becoming a full-on wildlife-wrecking machine. Imagine Indiana Jones with way more roundhouse kicks, and you're halfway there. You storm through stages, wiping out poachers with everything from whips to rocket launchers. Each rescued animal dashes in to help out, adding that little sprinkle of unpredictability to every fight. The goofy, earnest plot only adds to the charm, making each level feel like a pulpy adventure serial. It might be a little cheesy, but you can't help but smile the whole time. Growl deserves way more love for how silly and earnest it is. Sonic Blast Man. Here is the one for anyone who ever wanted to literally punch their way through skyscrapers and aliens. Sonic Blast Man's arcade cabinet even had a padded sensor you'd smash with your real fist, something that never gets old. The side-scrolling stages keep things classic with a superhero twist, letting you deck foes and pull off special slow-mo attacks that fill the whole screen. It's got that playful, comic-inspired energy throughout. The test your strength minigames between levels are a blast too. It's not the deepest brawler, but the novelty and sheer goofy fun factor keep me coming back again and again. Blood Bros. Right from the opening shot, Blood Bros lets you know that you're in for a no-nonsense Wild West shooting spree. You control a cowboy and an Indian taking out endless waves of bandits, dynamiting everything from trains to entire buildings. It's basically Cabal with spurs, responsive, challenging, and pure arcade addiction. Destroying nearly every object on screen is its own reward. And figuring out boss patterns is weirdly satisfying. I love the frantic pace and wild tone. No level feels the same, and you're always chasing that one perfect run. If you crave wild shoot-'em-up destruction, this is the one. Outzone. Sometimes the most hardcore arcade shooters don't mess around. Outzone throws you straight into its bullet hell gauntlet with a grin. This top-down run and gun has sharp, colourful sci-fi visuals and rock-solid gameplay that never lets up. Weapon upgrades drop constantly, encouraging you to get aggressive and strategize on the fly. The pace is relentless, the bosses are massive, and the music is the kind that gets stuck in your head. What impressed me most were the clever mechanics, constantly swapping weapons to deal with specific enemy types. Outzone is brutal, sure, but fair, and way too addictive for its own good. Mercs. Did you guys ever got that urge to run through a battlefield and blow up just about everything in sight? Mercs is exactly that kind of arcade rush. You're dropped into 7 action-packed stages, armed with an assault rifle, fighting to rescue the president. But what really hooks you are those explosive pickups, flamethrowers, shotguns, and mega crash bombs that clear the entire screen. Switching weapons keeps every run feeling alive, and the classic Capcom hit detection makes every firefight satisfying. The gritty visuals just add to the whole mercenary fantasy. It's a non-stop adrenaline trip and proof that Capcom was king of fast arcade shooters. Hammerin Harry. This game is like pure stress relief. Seriously, Hammerin Harry lets you take on cartoon villains with a giant mallet. What more could you want? You're Harry, a fearless carpenter, smashing corrupt construction goons who threaten your town. The setting is so charming, bright, bouncy stages, simple yet punchy controls, and hilarious power-ups. Giant hammers, flying helmets, you name it. Every swing feels weirdly rewarding, especially in 2-player mode. The action gets frantic, but never unfair. Sometimes basic is best, and Hammerin Harry totally delivers that arcade therapy feeling. Bash, laugh, repeat, and forget the world for a few rounds. Trog. Some games just have a personality that's impossible to forget, and Trog is one of them. You control a goofy claymation dinosaur snatching eggs while dodging one-eyed trogs through wonderfully weird mazes. It's part Pac-Man, sure, but with power punches, pineapples that turn you into a rampaging T-Rex, and enough slapstick chaos for an entire cartoon marathon. Navigating the open islands with edges you can fall off keeps every match unpredictable. And multiplayer battles are a riot. The graphics and sound are pure early 90s charm, making it a must-play if you want something truly quirky and surprisingly deep for an arcade game. Mad Dog McCree. Mad Dog McCree isn't just another arcade shooter. It's like stepping into a full-on Wild West movie where you're the gunslinger. The live-action footage was mind-blowing in '90, and every duel brings that campy Hollywood intensity. You're shooting bandits to save a kidnapped townfolk, and each scene plays out like a cowboy showdown. The reload mechanic is old-school fun, and missing a shot often means watching a cheesy actor dramatically collapse. It's not flawless, the FM5 can be clunky, but the overall ride still feels like nothing else out there. If you want rootin' arcade weirdness, this is legendary.
Moonwalker.
Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. It's nearly impossible to forget the first time you play Moonwalker. You're Michael Jackson himself, rescuing kids, busting out dance attacks, and moonwalking your way through waves of bad guys. The arcade version lets up to 3 players join in, each with flashy moves matched to classic MJ tracks. There's this wild blend of shooter and beat-em-up vibes, but every couple of minutes you trigger a screen-clearing dance where even the enemies start grooving. The style is campy, the animation is slick, and the soundtrack is peak Michael. If you love arcade games with a showbiz twist, this one's magic. Vendetta. Vendetta is that sort of beat-em-up that never lets up. The city's crawling with punks, thugs and wild bosses, and you clean up the streets with your fists. There's a grittier edge here than you get in a lot of similar games. Grimy backgrounds, oversized enemies, sprawling levels packed with surprises. Every character fights differently, so co-op never gets boring. What makes Vendetta stand out is its willingness to get weird. You can pick up pretty much anything as a weapon, including motorcycles and chicken legs. The action's fast, relentless, and a little bit wild, in a good way. Captain Commando. Captain Commando is pure comic book madness, and it never tries to hide it. You play as a futuristic hero squad, ninjas, baby geniuses in mechs, even a mummy, crushing mutant criminals all over an apocalyptic city. The action is smooth, stylish, and so over the top it's impossible not to grin the whole time. The combos and special moves are easy to pull off, yet super satisfying, especially with friends in 4-player mode. Its colourful sprites and bold personality make every stage pop. If you dig wild Capcom brawlers with memorable bosses and wacky characters, this is an essential hidden gem.
Select your machine. Drive it.
Virtual On Cyber Troopers. Virtual On Cyber Troopers is just a total blast if you like giant robots and arena battles. You pilot a slick mech in gorgeous 3D environments, dashing, jumping and unloading high-powered weapons on your rival. The controls take a second to learn, but once you get them, battles feel tense and almost like a real mobile suit showdown. The cabinet's dual stick setup made you feel like you were piloting for real, and the bright visuals just sealed the deal. For a versus arcade action, this is one of those unique experiences that you'll end up chasing for years after. Air Gallet. Have you ever played a shooter so fast? It feels like your reflexes are getting supercharged. Air Gallet is pure chaos from start to finish. The enemy waves never quit, explosions fill the screen, and your ship is loaded with wild power-ups that transform each stage. It's got that flashy bullet hell style, but stays smooth and fair, so you're always fighting back, never feeling hopeless. Every boss is a spectacle. Giant airships, weird robotic beasts, absolutely relentless challenge. It's not a household name, but if you want adrenaline and absolutely stunning arcade visuals, Air Gallet is a must-see.
Ready, go!
Tuki Densho Angel Eyes. So guys, we have finally made it to the halfway games of our list. Nobody expects a fighting game this strange to show up at the arcade, but Tuki Densho Angel Eyes is pure, unfiltered anime chaos. It's packed with bizarre characters, frenetic battles, and a weird vibe that's hard to pin down. Every fighter has their own wild moves, and the hit detection lets you pull off insane combos. The visuals are eye-catching, hand-drawn sprites flipping across pastel backgrounds, flashy effects everywhere. It's not the smoothest fighter out there, but the personality is in your face and unforgettable. If you're into deep cuts and experimenting with offbeat arcade fighters, this one absolutely delivers. Scud Race. There's just something hypnotic about blasting through the neon-lit tracks of Scud Race. Sega really went off with this one. Even decades later, it's just jaw-dropping how good the cars and scenery look. The drifting feels buttery, and the speeds are wild, with city skylines whooshing past and that signature arcade blue sky just begging you to hit the gas a little harder. The soundtrack will get stuck in your head too, keeping your foot on the pedal. Honestly, racing games don't get much more instantly satisfying than this. Sliding through corners, shaving milliseconds off your time. That feeling never gets old.
Select your fighter. The Skull-Fang mission is to break through the Lagnalock front line and apprehend as many agents.
Skull Fang. Now here's a shooter that slips under most people's radar, but Skull Fang is pure raw energy. You're thrown into aerial combat with a fighter jet that can dive, dodge, and pull off wild screen-clearing attacks. Each stage throws crazier enemies your way, battleships in the sky, robotic swarms, lightning-quick bosses, tons of high-speed dodging. It's tough, but each comeback feels epically earned, and the weapon upgrades keep things exciting. The pacing and relentless action absolutely demand you stay sharp. For anyone who chases that classic one more credit sensation, Skull Fang is a near-perfect storm of chaos and fun. Battle Circuit. If you ever wanted your beat-em-ups extra weird, Battle Circuit nails it. This Capcom gem lets you choose between bounty-hunting superheroes like a cyber ostrich or a pink-haired alien with stretchy arms, and every stage is stranger than the last. The combo system is deep, letting you unlock wild special moves and pull off seriously flashy attacks. What kills me is the sense of humour and confidence in every detail, from the goofy villains to the colour explosion happening on screen. Playing in co-op, yelling out move names and busting heads is an absolute joy. This is peak late arcade creative craziness. Strikers 1945-2. So some shooters really just click, and Strikers 1945-2 is the definition of easy to learn, hard to master. The basics are classic vertical shooter, airplanes, power-ups, screen-filling bosses, but everything's so polished. Every plane flies differently, so replaying never gets stale. The bosses are these epic machines that transform mid-battle, constantly upping the tension. What gets me is how fair it feels. Even the hardest levels make you want to play again, instead of rage quitting. It's a beautiful game, crisp sprites, great music, chaos on screen that somehow never feels unfair. This is the kind of arcade classic you come back to again and again. Shock Troopers. Right out of the gate, Shock Troopers throws you into jungle war zones and never lets up. What makes it so addictive is the freedom. You pick your route through the stages, swap between squad members in real time, and grab wild power-ups non-stop. The 8-way movement and slick controls make dodging bullets and mowing down enemies feel effortless once you lock in. Each character has their own style, and the 2-player mode is mayhem in the best way. All the explosions and shouts keep the energy high. If you dig fast-paced run-and-gun shooters, this is a true hidden gem. Fighting Bujutsu. This one's for the fighting game. Diehards who love a little weirdness. Fighting Bujutsu feels like an experiment from a parallel universe. Giant martial artists, strange special moves, and a punchy 3D engine that looks and feels totally distinct. The characters are huge, almost filling the whole screen, and each brings wild movesets that practically reward improvisation. It's got a rougher edge than most mainstream fighters, but the chunky graphics and surprising depth make it stand out. Getting a handle on the controls takes time, but once you do, every fight feels intense, and all the more satisfying for it.
Boys and girls, here's the top echelon of skaters competing to be the best in this special midnight event. Stunt Trackers Trophy is presented by Coca-Cola. Next up in Act, sponsored by Vans.
Top Skater. Honestly, Top Skater is pure arcade attitude, no question. Sega built these huge cabinets with a skateboard controller you stand on, and suddenly you're ripping down ramps, grinding rails, and pulling cartoon-level stunts. There's nothing quite like that physical feedback. Leaning into a turn, picking up speed, and busting out a trick just in time. It's loud, colourful, and totally in your face, with a punk rock soundtrack blasting the whole way. You finish a run sweaty and smiling, always sure you could do better, just one more time. Talk about capturing the feeling of 90s skate culture perfectly. ESP Rado. Few shooters feel quite as electrifying as ESP Rade. You're a psychic, blasting through mind-bending bullet patterns, using superpowers instead of fighter jets. What stands out is how tactile and personal it feels. You're not just a ship, but a character weaving through neon hell, punching back at the screen with psychic energy. The graphics are slick. Every boss fight is a thriller. And the soundtrack pulses with futuristic flair. It's heavier on story than most arcade shmups, pulling you in just as much for the atmosphere as the challenge. If you want bullet hell with heart, this is it. Asura Blade. Fighting game fans craving something fresh should hunt down Asura Blade. This one's got a fantasy anime vibe, colourful characters, and fast, fluid fights that land with satisfying impact. Each fighter disrupts the standard formula with unique counters, flashy supers, and loads of dramatic flair. What hooked me was the world. Bright, imaginative, and packed with cool details like animated backgrounds. It's deep but accessible, so even arcade newcomers can pull off some wild rounds. The style is one of a kind, and every match feels like an over-the-top anime brawl, just waiting to be replayed.
Welcome to the battle live. Kitajima versus Najib. Round 1. Ready, go!
Battle Tryst. Battle Tryst is like a neon fever dream, mashed up with classic 3D fighting. It's Konami's take on the genre, full of wild arenas, offbeat characters, and a combo system that rewards experimenting. The presentation is all-out arcade, flashy intro movies, bursting colour, relentless music. Controls are tight, letting you mix rapid-fire jabs with dramatic throws, and every opponent is a new mystery to solve. It never took off like Tekken or Virtua Fighter, but the energetic style and fast-paced rounds make it a blast for anyone looking to sink into something truly different. Knights of Valor. You know those beat-em-ups that completely suck you in for hours because every run feels legendary? Knights of Valor is one of those. Based on the famous Three Kingdoms stories, you brawl through huge crowds with wild weapons and ancient Chinese heroes. There are branching paths, tons of secrets, and huge bosses, making every playthrough different. The sprite art is vibrant and detailed, and the special moves have real impact, especially in co-op. It's crazy how deep the upgrades and branching systems go for an arcade game. If you want old-school action, laced with legendary lore, this one's a keeper. Gaia Crusaders. Gaia Crusaders punches through the genre with pure elemental fury. Picking heroes tied to classic elements, you take on mutant armies and bosses that pop off the screen. The combo system is a blast. Juggles, slams, and flashy power-ups keep you moving quick. Stages are wild. Cities, jungles, volcanoes, each dripping in cool pixel art. It's got that every fight could get out of control feeling, especially with two players teaming up. The action is relentless, but learning every character's quirks never gets old. If you're itching for explosive side-scrollers packed with style, Gaia Crusaders sits firmly in the must-play pile. Ganryu. Every so often, a ninja game just grabs you, and Ganryu ticks all the right boxes. You dash through feudal Japan as a sleek swordmaster, slicing up samurai and leaping across rooftops at breakneck speed. The controls are tight. Responsive jumps, satisfying attacks, and power-ups that keep each stage fresh. It oozes atmosphere, from the rain-swept villages to haunting temples, with a soundtrack that fits the mood perfectly. There's a solid challenge here, but it's always fair, and unlocking new moves feels earned. It's the kind of game that rewards skill, patience, and refusing to put down the controller. Asura Buster. Some arcade fighters just overflow with wild energy, and Asura Buster brings it in spades. Set in a wacky fantasy world, you choose from wild heroes, vampires, robots, warriors, each with fluid animations and crazy super moves. The battles are fast and flashy, with creative air combos and wild visual effects that make every fight pop. You can feel the developers' love for the genre in every frame. It's easy to get into, but packs tons of surprises for anyone willing to experiment. For those who crave offbeat fighting games with unique flair, Asura Buster is a deliciously hidden treat. Outrun 2006. Alright, sometimes pure arcade bliss is all about wind in your hair and synth beats pumping. Outrun 2006 nails that vibe, open roads, branching paths, and the kind of blue skies optimism that makes you want to chase sunsets forever. You race Ferrari supercars, drift through jaw-dropping scenery, and try to impress your passenger with daring stunts. The controls are silky smooth, and every run feels like your own mini road trip. Whether you're playing solo or with a buddy, it captures that just one more go feeling better than almost any modern racer. This is timeless, pure driving fun, and the joy just never fades. Oriental Legends 2. If you're into arcades that lean heavily on myth and magic, Oriental Legends 2 is a wild ride. It takes Chinese legends and amplifies every bit. Epic heroes, crazy spells, and armies of supernatural enemies to smash through. Co-op play is frantic but rewarding, letting you combine powers with pals in the thick of battle. The stages drip with atmosphere, from misty mountains to glowing temples, with bosses that keep you on your toes. It's the kind of game where learning combos and chaining super attacks feels endlessly rewarding. For anyone chasing creative beat-em-ups, this one's a treasure.
Select your car, Lancer Evolution. Select your color. Cool. Select your city. Everything's ready.
Dead Heat Riders. Dead Heat Riders is arcade racing with a hardcore edge. It's all high-speed chases, wild jumps, and tight corners set against stylish cityscapes that look fantastic. You pick a bike, hit the road, and jostle for position as rivals crowd your path. The sense of rush and danger is always front and center. Nail a drift or dodge a crash, and you immediately feel that racing adrenaline. There are shortcuts galore and a soundtrack that keeps your pulse racing just as fast as your wheels. If you want an underrated racer that rewards risk and gutsy moves, this one easily hits top speed. Mario Kart Arcade GP. Arcade Mario Kart is a totally different beast from the home console versions. Hopping in the cabinet feels like jumping into a cartoon. Bright tracks, huge items, and wild character carts with over-the-top powers. The controls are easy to pick up, but deep enough for endless reruns, and the multiplayer is just non-stop laughs. There are exclusive tracks and wild camera features that let you play with a snapshot of your own face. It's perfect for parties, rival challenges, and pure throwdown racing fun. If you think you've seen all of Mario Kart, trust me, GP will surprise you.
Marvel Comics Avengers in Galactic Storm!
Avengers in Galactic Storm. Here's a game Marvel fans rarely mention, but it's got some wild ideas. Avengers in Galactic Storm lands you in tag team brawls where you pick superheroes and swap them in for combo attacks mid-fight. The roster is stacked: Iron Man, Captain America, even obscure cosmic heroes. It's heavy on flashy supers and team assists, all set against cosmic backgrounds that pop with colour. Some moves and animations are crazy advanced for the era, and the whole experience feels experimental in the best way. Anyone who loves deep-cut Marvel arcade history will find a ton to enjoy here. Dolphin Blue. Dolphin Blue is just pure joy. Think Metal Slug, but with dolphins, pirates, and glittering seas. Instead of tanks, you ride dolphins through obstacle-filled blue waters, blasting enemies in gorgeous hand-drawn stages and fighting wild bosses. The platforming and shooting blend together perfectly, and every power-up brings a new dose of chaos. There's something relaxing and exhilarating all at once, especially with the playful animation and catchy tunes. If you crave arcade games with both charm and challenge, Dolphin Blue is a true hidden favourite that makes you smile every time. Violent Storm. Sometimes beat-em-ups just need to let loose. And Violent Storm is all about raw chaos. You're battling street gangs in a bombed-out world, smacking thugs with lightning-fast combos, and tossing everything that isn't bolted down. The soundtrack pulses with intense energy, and the vibrant stages absolutely nail that apocalypse with attitude vibe. Co-op play gets wild with hilarious team attacks and in-your-face humor. Every run feels fresh and fun. It's unapologetically over the top, with boss fights that keep you guessing. If you're craving frantic action and want a game that doesn't take itself too seriously, this one delivers. WWF WrestleFest. For wrestling fans, this cabinet is pure nostalgia. WWF WrestleFest brings classic legends: Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, the Road Warriors, together for tag team brawls and Royal Rumbles that get as rowdy as the crowds used to. The controls are super easy to pick up, with signature moves and wild multiplayer smackdowns. What really stands out is the arcade personality. A ton of voice clips, flashy finishers, and colourful ringside chaos. Whether it's four-player mayhem or just chasing championship glory alone, it's a total party game. All the cheers, taunts, and over-the-top moves are arcade wrestling at its absolute best.
Stand by alert. Death Star approaching.
Lock gas foils in attack position. Accelerate to attack speed.
Star Wars Trilogy Arcade. Booting this up instantly throws you into classic Star Wars battles. Dogfighting over the Death Star, battling AT-ATs on Hoth, and wielding a lightsaber against Vader. The graphics are absolutely epic for its era, and the multiple game modes, flight sims, third-person duels, action shooting, make every stage feel like an interactive movie scene. Dramatic music and sound effects add to the big screen excitement. Steering the X-Wing or swinging your saber feels surprisingly immersive. Even casual fans find themselves locked in for that extra credit. Few licensed games capture the heart of their franchise quite like this. Space Wars. Here's a piece of arcade history for you. Space Wars is one of the earliest vector games ever made. It's simple. Two ships square off in zero gravity, trying to blast each other while dodging that pesky star in the middle. The controls are surprisingly intuitive for something so old, with rotation, thrust, and shooting that still feel responsive. It's pure competitive fun, especially with a friend, and those glowing vector graphics just scream retro. There's nothing flashy, but the dogfights are tight and addictive. For anyone curious about the roots of arcade PvP, this is the original duel. Asteroids. Asteroids is practically legendary. You control a lone spaceship in a field of drifting space rocks, blasting everything while avoiding collisions. It was groundbreaking for its vector graphics and ultra-responsive controls. Thrusting, firing, and hyperspacing out of danger is surprisingly tense and fun, even now. The endless gameplay loop means every round can become a high-score chase, and the sound effects are timeless. It's a pure distillation of arcade reflexes, with just you, your ship, and as many rocks as you can survive. If you've never spent 30 minutes trying to beat a buddy's score, you're missing out. Star Castle. Star Castle cranks up the challenge with rotating shield rings and a central cannon trying to take you out. You zip around, blasting gaps in the rings, all while dodging homing missiles. The color vector display is awesome, vivid, hypnotic, and a huge leap forward in game visuals for the time. It's one of those games that rewards patience and split-second timing, but you'll still get blindsided every so often. Chasing that high score feels totally addictive, and each playthrough has its own little story of narrow escapes and clutch shot. Definitely a foundational classic that deserves fresh love. Battlezone. Imagine stepping into a tank with just a periscope and a green vector grid. That's Battlezone. It was a revolution in first-person gaming, actually letting you swivel and aim in 3D way before it was cool. The gameplay combines tactical movement, pinpoint shooting, and fast reactions. The enemies vary, and the tension keeps ramping up. The cabinet itself felt futuristic, with its unique windowed view adding to the immersion. It's honestly wild how ahead of its time it was. For anyone who loves simulation games or just wants to feel like a retro tank commander, this is the real deal. Ladybug. Here's an often overlooked maze game with clever twists. Ladybug lets you guide a cute bug through shifting mazes, dodging predators and picking up goodies. Unlike Pac-Man, you can redirect sections of the maze, adding strategy and keeping things unpredictable. The bright colours, brisk soundtrack, and addictive gameplay make it super replayable, and each stage ramps up the challenge. Working out how to manipulate gates mid-chase is a rush, and getting that perfect run feels great. It's deceptively simple, wildly fun, and a welcome change of pace from its maze game rivals. Tempest is the wild child of classic vector arcades. You spin around geometric tunnels, blasting oncoming foes as floor shapes morph and enemies swarm. That paddle controller brings wild precision and quick reaction, while the trippy color visuals and electronic sounds heighten the intensity. Every new level adds a fresh pattern, keeping you hooked for just one more round. The difficulty ramps up quick, and earning a spot in the high scores is no easy feat. It's the kind of mind-bending shooter that only could happen in early arcades, and its style is still instantly recognizable today. Pengo. Nothing beats a game that's easy to start but hard to master, and Pengo fits that perfectly. You play a penguin sliding ice blocks to crush pesky snow bees, creating combo chains and racking up points in cooler-than-cool fashion. Puzzle action mixes with reflex challenges, sometimes strategic, sometimes chaotic. The graphics are bright and cheerful, and the quirky soundtrack keeps spirits high. As levels progress, the tension gets real, but figuring out the perfect sequence never stops being satisfying. It's a hidden gem that rewards clever moves and quick thinking, a classic worth a place in any arcade countdown. Mr. Doe. Mr. Doe is one of those early arcade gems that somehow still feels fresh. You play as a cheerful clown, digging tunnels through fruity mazes, chased by monsters while trying to grab every cherry on screen. What sets it apart from Pac-Man or Dig Dug is the creativity. You can crush enemies with falling apples or fire your bouncing ball weapon, creating wild, risk-versus-reward moments. The pace is frantic, but you can approach it smartly if you're patient. Its mix of puzzle solving and action made it stand out in 1982, and even now, its quirky charm and unpredictable gameplay are impossible not to love. Bubbles. Bubbles is one of those games that sound silly on paper, but totally work in practice. You're literally a soap bubble, cleaning a dirty sink, sweeping up crumbs and dodging roaches while trying not to pop. Each round speeds up, and bumping into grimy bristles or sponges will shrink you down again. There's a rhythm to it that's so satisfying, growing in size, collecting debris, and racing to the drain just in time. It's an oddball concept, sure, but it's also surprisingly tense once things start moving fast. Honestly, few games from the early 80s are this strange and this fun at the same time. Zwakkery. Zwakkery doesn't get talked about much, but it's one of the most creative fantasy action arcades of the early 80s. You play a wizard exploring multi-screen castles, collecting treasures and blasting enemies with your wand. The game blends elements of action, platforming and puzzles in a way most titles of its time didn't. The enemy variety is solid, the humour's tongue-in-cheek, and the difficulty is pure old-school tough. Every new chamber feels unpredictable, like a mini-adventure packed into each screen. Zwakkery definitely feels experimental, but that's what makes it so interesting. It's a weird, whimsical journey, and it totally earns that cult status. Juno First. Now this right here is pure, fast-paced arcade bliss. Juno First takes the vertical shooter concept and injects it with energy. Smooth scrolling, fluid movement, and seriously responsive controls. You're flying through warped starfields, zigzagging as endless waves close in from every direction. The pseudo 3D effect is mesmerizing for a 1983 release, and the sound effects just amplify the tension. It's got that perfect balance of chaos and precision, where dodging and blasting flow together like second nature. Juno First doesn't get the attention of Gallagher or Defender, but any arcade fan who loves quick reflex gameplay will instantly get hooked. Chicken Shift. Chicken Shift might win the award for weirdest concept of the decade. You guide eggs down a maze of conveyor belts by flipping switches and timing everything perfectly so they don't crack. It starts simple, but pretty soon you're juggling multiple paths and panicking as eggs drop faster than you can think. The art's goofy, the music's frantic, and the stakes are oddly high for a game about breakfast in peril. What makes it great is that every run teaches you new tricks. You'll fail fast, but learn even faster. Chicken Shift is quirky, charming chaos done exactly right.
Destroy the bomb. Only a key opens the door. Open the door.
Quartet. Quartet doesn't get enough love for how ahead of its time it was. It's a 4-player co-op sci-fi shooter where you blast through alien bases collecting keys and power-ups to rebuild your ship. Each of the 4 heroes has their own feel, and the teamwork really makes it shine. Splitting up to handle swarms or grabbing items together feels natural and fun. The upbeat music, clean visuals, and smooth gameplay make it pure Sega goodness. It's one of those sleeper hits that's perfect with a group, fast, flashy, and way cooler than it gets credit for. Rainbow Islands. Rainbow Islands turns everything you knew about platforming upside down. Instead of walking left to right, you climb upward using rainbows as bridges and weapons. You play as Bubby and Bobby, the human forms of the Bubble Bobble Dragons, setting out to save their world from darkness. The way you can chain rainbows into enemy groups or traps is genius, and the insane amount of secrets makes it endlessly replayable. The bright visuals and joyful soundtrack capture that perfect Taito arcade magic. It's clever, colourful, and far deeper than it looks, an absolute gem of 80s design brilliance. Operation Wolf. Operation Wolf changed shooters forever. It was one of the first games to let players grab an actual arcade-mounted gun and mow down enemies in immersive, mission-based stages. You play as Special Forces soldier Roy Adams on a relentless mission to rescue hostages across jungle bases and enemy fortifications. Each level escalates with tanks, helicopters, and swarming troops, forcing you to reload fast and aim sharp. The tension is constant, and the sound design still hits hard. This one practically defined the light gun genre, and it's still an absolute blast all these years later. Cabal. Cabal takes the concept of cover shooting and nails it long before it was a trend. You control a commando dodging behind barricades while blasting enemies, tanks and aircraft across war zones. The aiming controls take a minute to get used to, but once they click, it's insanely satisfying to wipe out entire enemy lines while flipping and jumping out of danger. The destructible environment adds a wild sense of chaos. Everything on screen can blow up. It's the kind of game that makes you grin after every stage, because the carnage feels that good. One of the true sleepers of late 80s arcade action.
Operation initiated. Rescue all hostages. Gather intelligence information.
Operation Thunderbolt. Operation Thunderbolt doubles down on the thrills of its predecessor by adding co-op play and twice the firepower. You and a buddy step into the boots of elite commandos, storming enemy bases in first-person light gun chaos. The new two-gun action amps up the fun, and the missions take you through detailed war zones, from ambush-heavy jungles to city streets exploding with gunfire. The pacing is relentless, the enemies varied, and the sense of teamwork is unmatched for its time. It's both brutal and cinematic, the perfect arcade evolution of military mayhem. A true classic for fans who love the rush. Omega Fighter. Omega Fighter is one of those arcade shooters that rewards guts as much as reflexes. You're not just flying through space, you're taking on an entire alien battleship, dismantling it piece by piece. The closer you get to enemies when you blow them up, the higher your score climbs, pushing you to play dangerously. It's a thrilling mix of risk and precision. With its slick ion lasers, wide shots and power-ups that reset the moment you switch styles, it constantly keeps you on your toes. The giant ship battle setup is genius, and the pacing never lets up. It's pure old-school adrenaline wrapped in outer space glory.
Has been taken hostage. Free him, no matter what the cost.
Jailbreak. If Chaos had a quarter slot, it'd probably look a lot like Jailbreak. You play a lone cop trying to stop a full-blown escape as hundreds of inmates bolt from prison. It's you, one gun, and an entire riot coming at you from every side. The scrolling streets, hostages mixed in with enemies, and limited time give the game a frantic edge-of-your-seat energy. It's simple, loud, and a bit unfair, but the intensity is the real fun. Every bullet counts, and every mistake turns the screen into madness. It's gritty, old-school mayhem, the kind of arcade panic that just doesn't age.
Tiger Ball! Life tank!
Robo Army. Few games scream early 90s Neo Geo energy like Robo Army. You and a buddy play as cyborg heroes tearing through mechanical mutants led by a mad professor. What makes it shine is the heavy feel to every punch. Metal crunching, sparks flying, even tearing cars apart to use as weapons. The transformations into tank-like machines mid-battle just add to the awesome ridiculousness. The stages overflow with gritty industrial vibes and chunky sprite art that still looks cool decades later. It's big, loud, clunky, and full of heart. An underrated SNK beat-em-up that deserves way more attention. Zero Team. So this is one of those hidden beat-em-up treasures that never got the mainstream love it deserved. Think Final Fight meets Ninja Team Chaos. You've got 4 unique heroes, tons of moves, and waves of bad guys to crush. The animations are smooth, the colours pop, and every combo lands with a punchy flow. The co-op play is what really seals it. Teaming up to throw enemies across the screen just never stops being fun. It was lost for years without a proper release, but once you dig into it, you realise how polished and fun it really is. Classic Taito energy. Thunder Dragon 2. Thunder Dragon 2 is one of those fast-paced vertical shooters that just feels electric. It's bright, explosive, and filled with non-stop enemy waves that demand total focus. The weapon system is huge. You're constantly swapping between shot types and screen-clearing bombs to stay alive. What makes it extra fun is that smooth difficulty climb and intensely satisfying boss fights. The screen fills with bullets, but always feels fair if you've got skill. It's polished, slick, and totally addicting. For shooter fans, this one's a must-play. Pure arcade reflex training at its best.
Speed up. Option.
Salamander 2. If you want hypnotic visuals and incredible soundtrack energy, Salamander 2 absolutely delivers. It's the continuation of Konami's legendary shooter series, blending horizontal and vertical scrolling stages with gorgeous 2D detail. The mix of organic alien design and sleek, surreal backgrounds still looks stunning today. You've got new power-ups, faster movement, and better enemy patterns that keep you glued to the screen. The co-op mode makes it even better. Syncing up laser fire with a friend as the music swells is pure arcade magic. It's stylish, challenging, and one of those shooters that never stops feeling cinematic. Logic Pro 2. Logic Pro 2 scratches that perfect puzzle itch, the kind you didn't expect an arcade to handle so well. You're maneuvering shapes and tiles in timed stages that demand both quick thinking and steady reflexes. The levels get trickier with hazards, clever layouts, and satisfying chain clears that reward precision. The crisp visuals and catchy tunes keep things upbeat even when the puzzles start frying your brain. It's addictive in the best way, tough but fair, and strangely meditative once you get into the groove. For fans who love to think fast while still chasing high scores, it's a hidden wonder. Battle Back Raid. Battle Back Raid is what happens when bullet hell meets perfection. It's a sequel to Battle Garega, and everything feels smoother, faster and flashier. Every mission throws dazzling explosions and precise bullet patterns at you, forcing you to switch weapons and make split-second calls. It rewards players who stay calm under chaos. Threading through bullets feels like art when you pull it off. The scoring system encourages aggressive play, and the boss fights are simply breathtaking. It's one of those shooters that turns panic into rhythm once you master it. True hardcore arcade brilliance. Nightmare in the Dark. This game feels like a haunted love letter to games like Bubble Bobble and Snow Brothers. You play as a gravekeeper, defending a spooky cemetery from waves of monsters, blasting ghosts with fire until they ignite and rolling them into others for chain explosions. The gothic pixel art oozes Halloween charm. Flickering gravestones, eerie moons, and moody music fit the tone perfectly. Co-op mode is a must, and the boss fights bring the perfect mix of humour and horror. It's fast, addicting and dripping with atmosphere, a true hidden gem of Neo Geo's late days. Age of Heroes. Silk Road 2. Blends Eastern mythology and classic brawler intensity into something totally unique. You pick heroes inspired by Persian and Chinese legends, slicing through demon hordes and massive boss creatures along the Silk Road. The art style pops with rich backdrops and mystical energy effects that keep every stage visually wild. The combo system feels surprisingly smooth, and the variety of attacks makes combat lively. It's the kind of game you discover years later and wonder how it flew under everyone's radar. A seriously cool mix of fantasy storytelling and arcade brawling energy. Gunblade. Alright everyone, here comes the 100th game of the list. Gunblade is one of those smile while you play arcade games, which is very simple, colourful and way more fun than you'd guess from just looking. It's part breakout, part shooter, with you bouncing bullets and power-ups across the screen as a cheerful pirate magician. The mix of fastball reflections and enemy chaos keeps every stage hectic but satisfying. The power-ups get wild, multi-shots, giant ricochets, and flashy special effects that fill the whole screen. It's light-hearted arcade action done right, with enough challenge to keep you coming back. Proof that great gameplay doesn't need to take itself seriously to be awesome. So that was all for the 100 most underrated games of all time. Special thanks to those who watched it out till the end of the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting games. Drop a comment below and let me know which one I missed. Thanks for watching.